Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 33, Gaining Confidence and Becoming the Leader of Your Life. So, we're going to talk about leadership today. We're going to talk about confidence today and how you can become a more confident person. What is it within you that causes you to dim your light? What is it within you that causes you to shrink down and not become this amazing, incredible being that you already are inside? So, we're going to do some activations today, activations of your confidence and your leadership skills. We're going to touch on a lot of things that potentially could be holding you back. You know, that fear of success, that fear of being seen, all of those things that I have worked through and am able to speak to now because I've been able to work through those things and to connect with the energies that I was conducting from that were creating crappy experiences in my life and keeping me down, keeping me from really stepping into my gifts. So I looked up confidence and what the definition of confidence is, and it has a lot to do with trust. It has a lot to do with trust of self. So, confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, a firm trust. So, it's trusting yourself. And guess what? The biggest thing in trusting yourself, like really getting into a trust of yourself, is having a relationship with yourself and being able to listen within about those intuitions, about those promptings, about those calls of your heart that actually help you to make good and solid decisions, that help you to feel really confident in the movement of your life, in the movement of energy of your life. A feeling of self assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities. So it's appreciating the abilities you have. Now, you can't appreciate the abilities that you have if you're not in the frequency of gratitude, gratitude for who you are, gratitude for what you do, gratitude for the amazing gifts that you bring to this world. And if you're not bringing amazing gifts to this world, which I would guess probably is not true, that's probably like a low vibrational thought pattern that you might get yourself involved with. And I'm going to share why that happens to you and how to overcome that. But if you do feel like you're holding back your gifts and talents, we've got to get in touch with why that is. You've got to go within and start having these really important and necessary conversations to start releasing the energies within you that are conducting something that is different from what your heart is calling you to. And oftentimes, I think what happens is, we have these desires, and this is what happened to me. I had these desires in my heart for a long time. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was just doing the mom thing, and I knew I had these gifts. I knew I had these talents to speak and to talk from my heart and to share my spiritual experiences. And what ended up happening was I joined a church that started to call me to the plate, that started to call me to different leadership roles, being the women's club president and the parish council president. And I found myself, conducting meetings and having to plan meetings and having to be in charge of things. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I felt like that power that was within me, that desire that was within me, gave me a way to present that. And then through the course of a few years, finding a network marketing company that started to put me on stages, I was terrified. I'll be totally honest with you. The first time I ever spoke in front of a crowd of people, it was probably about 150 people. I didn't actually know I was going to speak. I was actually called up from the audience and put on a stage, and my heart was beating in my ears. I mean, my face, I was sweating. I don't even know what I said. I felt anxious. I felt nervous, and I did it anyway. And as the course of time went through and I started doing this more and more, and it got to the point where I was like having to do this every week in front of 40 to 50 people, I just got more and more comfortable. And I opened up my channel. I opened up my wisdom channel. I opened up talking from my heart and being compassionate and, really sharing from my own authenticity. And that's what really flipped the switch with not feeling nervous anymore, with not feeling what I realized recently, when I was working with this media company, was all I need is like, and this is what happens when I channel my messages on Facebook. I just need a beginning sentence. If I drop in and I let a beginning sentence come to my mind, it just flows, like it flows out of me. But if you're nervous and anxious and worried about what people think, the worst talks I've ever done, I was worried about what people thought. I was sitting there judging myself, worried about their judgment, and because of that I blocked my channel of wisdom, and my talks didn't flow as well. So I've done a lot of work in this area, and a lot of times you have to go and you got to get it done. You got to go out there and you got to do it over and over again to gain that confidence. And I don't know if there's a way to step into that like immediately. There may be. I know there's groups around the country called Toastmasters. My husband was a part of Toastmasters for a while because he really wanted to become a better speaker. And they help you to create speeches and to deliver speeches. And so there are ways to go about this where you get called to the stage before you're going to do it professionally or before you're going to really put yourself out there. So I would look into that. I really would. If you're really interested in becoming a very confident public speaker, that's one of the best ways. Another way is like a YouTube channel, just like I'm doing, or a podcast. Just start talking to people. As much as I'm not really in your face, like I don't see you and I don't have to picture you in your underwear, which they say is a great way to lighten the heaviness during a moment of public speaking, is to picture people in their underwear. I don't think I ever did that, but they say it works. But as much as you guys are not like right in front of me, I know you're gonna listen to this later. So this has really helped me to work through just being in front of people, like getting out of my fear of success, getting out of my fear of being seen, and putting myself in a place where I can grow, where I can expand and grow with other people. So here are some of the ways that you may be getting, your confidence might be getting tripped up, where you might be feeling that you're cutting yourself off from confidence, or maybe you just believe that you've never been a confident person, that you don't have the ability to be a confident person. If you have the desire within your heart to be more confident, I promise you, life is going to give you opportunities to exercise this quality, which means you're going to be called to the plate, which means it may be a little scary at first, which means, it may be a little it may give you, it's like, be careful what you pray for, right? But if you want to be more confident, you have to be put in leadership roles where you can exercise that confidence and really conduct from your strength and your wisdom. And that channel will open as you get more comfortable and as you stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. So if you are an overly self-critical person, if you have that shitty committee in your head and you've been listening to it for a long time, so you've got those energies within you that you are often listening to. You're listening to the ways in which you can't do things, shouldn't do things. If you're talking yourself out of things very often, that is a mechanism of the mind. And the mechanism of the mind is to keep you safe and the same. So we've got to override that stuff. We got to override it by having a really strong meditation practice, like a solid game of 20 minutes a day of sitting in either complete silence or a guided. I'm cool with that. But really having a committed practice to quieting the mind, de-exciting the mind, de-accelerating the mind, pulling yourself apart from the mind so you have that space and you start to know yourself in the higher consciousness field. You start to know yourself from your true self, and you stop allowing the mind to talk you out of the things that are really going to bring you the joy, that are really going to bring you the confidence. Listening to old belief systems. So this is usually things that like our parents told us or our teachers told us when they told us we weren't good at things, when they told us we couldn't do things, when they were threatened by our light. So they tried to squash it. I think many of us had jealous parents that didn't really boost us up, didn't really help us with our confidence, really pushed us down. Or oftentimes what happens in parenting, and I've watched this with my own girls in my own parenting game, is we tend to focus on what we don't like about our kids and what we need to fix, right? We're the parents. We're supposed to fix them. We're supposed to make them better people. So if you had parents that were super critical, that were always pointing out your flaws, you've got a shitty committee in your head that is very active, that has a strong, firm foundation in pulling you away from your gifts. So you've got to get your mind training game really strong And when you create the space and mind training, you're going to start to become aware of this committee, and you're going to start to become aware of those voices that try to talk you out of your gifts. And the best way to, tune yourself out of that frequency is to start to tune yourself into your gifts and being grateful for your gifts and being strong in the why of what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, right? Like why. That was a big thing in our network marketing company, was getting people in touch with their why, because the why usually, if you've ever been part of a network marketing company, the why is usually about freedom. It's about time freedom. It's about travel freedom. It's about freedom for your family. It's about being able to have choices in your life. So if you got in touch with that why, then connecting and contacting someone that felt, heavy and could like help you like create a question in your confidence. If you got in touch with that why, you were more confident stepping in there because you tuned into the frequency of why you were doing what you were doing, and it was important. It was really important. So listen, check in with those old belief systems. Start writing some things down for yourself. Journal. What do I really believe about myself, and where do those beliefs come from? Is this just something that people have told me my whole life, and because of that, I have created evidence of it? Do I have to believe this stuff? Do I want to believe this stuff? How do I step more into believing in myself? And believing in yourself really is about connecting with that higher consciousness. It's connecting with that true sense of self, of who you are, and really understanding that you matter, you're worthy, and you deserve all the things that your heart is calling you to. Not only do you deserve the things your heart is calling you to, but you have the wherewithal to create them. The fact that you have a desire means you have the ability to create it. It would be cruel. It'd be cruel, cruel world if that wasn't the case. Okay, so more ways that you may be calling yourself from your confidence. You're focused on the wrong things. So I see this happen a lot with people where they kind of get on their game, they start creating, they start doing stuff, and then like maybe a hiccup happens or something triggers them to that emotional wound of their childhood. And they're like, what was I thinking? I don't have what it takes, right? So it sets them way, way back. So triggers are an invitation to go within and heal, and to ask yourself, do I want to create from this? Do I want to tune into this frequency? So getting in touch with those triggers and not allowing those triggers to take you out of the game, but instead to heal something, to release something, and to go back stronger, to make yourself even more determined when mistakes show up or speed bumps show up. To make yourself even more determined is how you really gain confidence and strength. You don't acknowledge your progress. I see this sometimes. I see this in life sometimes, where people don't acknowledge how far they've come. They just are pissed off that they're not perfect. They're looking at the ways that they may have made a mistake, and it makes them feel like they used to feel. So they think that they're still there. They think that they're still back there with that person. And it's like, no, you can't go back. Once you start acknowledging the information that I'm sharing and you start showing yourself in your life experience, you can't go back. You can like take a step back for a second. It's like that whole thing with the trampoline, like the further you go down, the higher you go up. And then I heard a new one today about the bow and arrow. Like you pull a bow and arrow back, and the further you pull it back, the farther it's going to go. So that kind of happens. Like we revisit. And when we revisit, a lot of times, or the best thing that we can do is really to gain confidence from it and determination, not to allow that mistake or that hiccup or that invitation to heal to take us out. You feel at times when there's a mistake or something happens, you feel like everything is lost, that you're just back to square one, and you allow that shitty committee to become your everyday mantra in your mind, and you don't allow yourself to really listen and tune into the truth. That, guys, that's what meditation is. It's tuning into the truth of who you are. It's tuning into the higher consciousness of where you are connected to the infinite stream of all that is, where you and God meet, where you and source meet, whatever you want to call it, you and universal forces meet. That's what quieting your mind does, because it gets you off the merry-go-round of this life. It gets you off of those automatic thoughts. Remember that roller coaster? It gets you off the roller coaster of the old thinking and allows newness to be born. It allows the truth to come and set you free. Okay. So, a trust of self. How much do you trust yourself? How much do you trust your inner voice? If you don't trust yourself, people will reflect to you that distrust of yourself, and they will question you all day long. And they will not only question you, they will fight you on stuff. And if you're not confident, you're not going to have the strength and the determination to overcome and to create from your own intuition, to know that you made the right decision. It's really easy, I think, for us to often question our decisions and to wonder if we made the right choice and wonder if we did the right thing at that particular moment. This happens a lot, I see, with women who have gone through divorces, and they think, I don't know if I made the right decision, and I don't know if I, upset the whole family because of this decision. And because I think what happens, and I've noticed this about myself, we tend to fantasize about what was. And so we tend to, and I don't know what this is, I'm not quite sure what this is, but we tend to fantasize about what was, and I noticed this when we moved to California. And in the first couple of years that I was here, I would get super sad at the holidays, like Christmas, Thanksgiving. And one of the reasons for that was because we had huge family gatherings, and they were always at our house, and we always put on a spread, and it was wonderful. It was love. It was familiarity. It was family, right? Familia. And when I got here, I was really sad that it was kind of just us. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's just been the four of us, like my husband, myself, and our two younger ones. So our two older ones. If our two older ones are around, I'm fine. Like if everybody's together, there is not another need this mama has. Like it's perfection. But oftentimes, because of flights, expensive flights and things, we tend to do holidays very different now. And we've had to create new programmings around them, new social programmings around them. So I didn't know I was going to get into this. So I would be miserable, and I would fantasize about what was. And then I started to kind of wake up from that and realize that I was doing that, and I was romanticizing what was, and it wasn't really as great as I thought. Like there was a lot of obligation, there was a lot of exhaustion, there was a lot of things that we were called to. There was a lot of spending time with people that, we didn't see all year. We only saw them during the holidays, which was great and everything, but like connecting on a vibrational level, not so much. So now we're able to create our holidays the way we want. So it's like, well, what do we want to do for Thanksgiving? Well, why don't we go for a hike near the ocean, or why don't we lay on the beach? Like we have choices now that I have embraced much more than I did in the first couple of years. But I needed to really go within and reflect about my own misery that I was creating during these holidays. And I had to let go of and release the energy of that romanticizing. So if you're doing that, if you've had past relationships and you're romanticizing and regretting and questioning your decisions, I'm going to invite you to heal and to release that stuff, because it doesn't serve you in creating confidence or joy in your life experience. I've also seen a lot of people in relationships, and they've got very split energy. So they haven't really connected with making the decision to be with this person. They're just always questioning if there's something better, if they're really doing the right thing. And it's like, that does not form strong bonds. And that is always going to create angst in your relationship, because you're not connecting from that level of, yes, I want to be with you forever. My husband and I, a long, long time ago, made a very solid decision that we would never throw the divorce word at each other again. And this was back, we were in our early 20s, mid 20s, and we had some stuff going on, and it was intense. And, we talked about getting divorced, and basically made a solid decision that we would never throw that word around, because it was so detrimental to the relationship, and it didn't allow us to become our true selves. Like we couldn't really stand in all of our wounds and our triggers and our emotional fields if we were constantly threatening leaving each other. So we became really solid at that moment. I mean, I think we were always solid, But you see a lot of divorce in this world, and it would have been easy for us to do that at some points, but our love was strong, and we kept turning towards each other, and we just made that solid decision. And I think that was a big part of us getting really confident and really connecting on a level of richness and deepness and creating the marriage that we have today. So, how can you become more confident? You have to become aware of that self-critical voice and interrupt it. So the first thing is have that mind training game in place, have that quieting the mind practice in the morning. Then start noticing. You've got to start, the awareness is the first step. And trust me, awareness does not change anything. It doesn't change anything. So you've got to have the awareness first, though, in order to interrupt. So once you have the awareness about a feeling, you've got to ask yourself, or a belief, do I want to believe this? Does this serve me? Can I release it? And you've got to go within and release the energies that are creating against you. So first you have to acknowledge they're there, then you release them. Then you come into a state of, what do I want to believe about myself, and how do I be? How do I be that person, right? Identity creation. How do I be more of that person? What would I have to do to be that confident person? I might have to do some scary shit. I might have to call myself to the plate in some ways. I may have to sign up for Toastmasters. I may have to do something, most likely have to do something completely out of my comfort zone. I've done a ton of things out of my comfort zone. In fact, if my comfort zone is calling, I know I have to step over it. I just know. It's like this weird thing inside of me where it's like, if I'm scared to do something, I know I have to do it. I know I just got to go through with it. And that does not include any kind of thrill sports. When it comes to like jumping out of an airplane or doing things like that, I'm like, no, I have nothing to prove. But when it comes to calling myself to another level of sharing who I am or being confident and being in a leadership role, those are the things that I know I need to go through with. In fact, a long time ago when I used to do networking events, I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to go. And I'm very personal. It's very easy for me to get along with people, but there is this moment when you get to these events where you just kind of feel like a fish out of water. So my body would literally be getting ready and my mind would be screaming, "You're not going." And I knew I was going. I was just kept moving forward. So sometimes when you are really in fear and your mind is going nutso, you just got to override. You got to step over that shit and you got to ride through it and you got to move through it and you got to just call yourself to more, because that calling yourself to more, you will never regret it. You will never regret it because it's an up level of your consciousness and it's an up level of your being, and it's where your heart is really calling you to. So you got to call yourself to those things. All right. So confidence is letting go of the old stories. So many of us walk through life. I do lots of healing work with people, and the belief systems underneath are, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't matter, and people are better than me. And all of those are judgments of self that are very lackful. They are very low on the vibrational scale, and it's time to release that stuff. And the way to release that stuff is to put yourself in that quieted the mind practice, and then notice through your life experience when you're feeling this way and go within and deal with it. Deal with it and shift it and become more. That's how you do it. So, in order to step into these leadership roles in your life, you have to stop worrying about what other people's opinions are. So, a lot of ways that we hold ourselves back is being concerned about these judgments, being concerned about people judging us. The worst talks I have ever done is just worrying about what people are thinking about me. That's when your channel shuts down. So, when you're nervous and you're anxious, you shut down all of your wisdom. And I know that probably makes you go, I never want to speak in public ever, ever, ever. But the truth is, if you do it enough, what you're going to do is you're going to start overriding, and it's like the same thing that happens when you start a meditation practice and your mind goes bonkers and then you think you can't meditate. I have a bunch of ladies in the last couple of months who have totally overridden that voice, and now their meditation practice feels a lot more blissful, and they're getting it, like they're connecting with it. So the more you do it, the more you're going to override the mind, you're going to de-excite the mind, and eventually you're going to move into situations where you're going to have control. You're either going to be able to interrupt the old stories, or the old stories are going to be gone. I recently did, a couple months ago, I officiated my first wedding. That was super fun. And right before they changed the vows on me. So I had written these vows and I was super proud of them, making it all about me, right? Yeah. If you officiate weddings, it's not about you. It has really nothing to do with you. You're just holding space for people, really. So they changed the vows and I accepted that and I was cool with that and I was okay with it. And I was like, whatever, second of disappointment, let it go. And then I remember driving there and I was kind of like hopped up, like you got that energy flowing through you. I wasn't labeling it as anxiety, but it was like energy. And I was like, I really just want to have fun with this. I want to be relaxed about this. I want to hold space for people. What an honor it is to bring two people together in this beautiful, loving relationship that I've had such a wonderful life with. And I just stopped, I just interrupted and didn't wrap the story around it. And by the time we got to the ceremony, I was very, very chill and very much in my confidence because I didn't let that anxiety derail me. And in the past, if I've ever been anxious before a talk, it's been okay, but I'm always much better off when I go into a situation and I don't give a shit. I'm just going to share who I am. I'm going to share the information that I know so well. So that's another way to really gain confidence in leadership is knowing your stuff. If you are an expert in your field, if you know your stuff, if you can speak from your heart authentically, compassionately, and truly, you win. When you tap into that, it's like I know this stuff. So that's a really good mantra if you're coming into a presentation or even just connecting with people and trying to sell yourself. It's a really good thing to stand there and go, I know my stuff. I know my stuff. And that was very much what I did with that wedding was I know my stuff. I know love, baby. I know love. So, connect with your expertise because your knowledge and your expertise will never get shut down if you're in that frequency. So tune out. When you feel the anxiety, just go, you know what? Anxiety and excitement are the same exact energies. Same exact energies. It's the filter we throw them through that makes them manifest as more. So if we have a belief that we're anxious, if we have a belief that we don't want to do something, then we're going to conduct from that. But if we shift it, if we interrupt it and go, I'm just really excited. I'm excited about doing this. I'm excited about sharing who I am. And I'm excited about stepping into my gifts. It's going to manifest differently. So you've got to be really, the mind training piece of this lifetime, I'm telling you, is gold. It's gold. It's how to live life golden. I'm serious because the mind training piece is what's really going to help you to not conduct. So recently I don't even know what day this was. Last Wednesday night into Thursday, I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning, like totally anxious. I have no clue what was going on. I kind of do now. So I never fell back to sleep. I went to the gym the next day and I just felt like this heaviness in my chest and I just felt yucky and I had to go to the dentist, which, it was just a teeth cleaning, but whatever. So, after the dentist, I just made this decision and I was like, I'm not going to do life like this. And maybe you don't have the freedom to do this, but on that day I did. Sometimes I don't, but on that day I was like, I'm not going to do another thing today until I settle myself, until I get myself grounded. So I ended up going to the beach. I had a bathing suit in the trunk of my car. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the beach. I need to do this for myself. So I went to the beach, I sat, I did some release work while I was there, just some breathing, some meditating, some letting go of some energy. Still felt wonky, little better, still felt wonky. And, I sat on the beach and asked myself, like, what is this about? Like, what is this energy about? And nothing was coming. And that's very rare for me. I usually get answers. When I ask, I get answers. So later on that day, I connected with my partner, Jess Gumkowski. We have a new M21 Revolution Challenge that's coming up this Wednesday. I'm super excited. I'm going to book down to Carlsbad. We're going to get together and oh man, I'm going to hug that girl. We haven't seen each other in a while, but this is the mind training piece. We're going to do a 21-day challenge to help you tune into the frequency of peace. What a great time of year to do it. What a great time of life to do this, to tune yourself into the frequency of peace and to really get your mind training game on point. So I was talking to her and she was like, you don't have any stories left. There's no stories wrapped around this energy. So my belief now is that it was energy that I was taking from clients, from the world, from my daughters, from life in general. And it was just energy that I was releasing. The frequencies of the earth, if you follow like the Schumann resonance, they were a little wonky. So we're affected by all of that, whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we connect with it or not, it doesn't matter. There are things going on that just affect us. So, so I went to bed early that night. I think I even took a bath. Yeah, I took a bath. Baths are great. Epsom salt, release energy, great way. I did a meditation. I went to bed early, woke up the next day and felt great. Got back on my horse, started to ride. So I don't have the stories. The stories are what actually keeps the energy active. The story around the anxiety, the story I'm not good enough, the story that I don't matter, the story that things aren't moving fast enough, that I'm not good at manifesting. All of that stuff is conducting in your experience. Now, you're still going to manifest despite fear, despite low confidence, despite all of it. You're still going to manifest because even if you don't have a strong belief system in yourself, life is always going to show you. Life is always going to show you, especially if you're listening to this podcast and you have any sort of knowledge of universal law, you're going to manifest. There's no doubt, and it may not come as fast as you want, it may not come the way you wanted, but it is coming. Trust me. All right. So stop worrying about other people's opinions. Stop apologizing for acting from your heart and what you need to do to get a job done. Stop apologizing. Do you ever hang out with people and they say they're sorry all the time? Oh, I like wince when I hear this. It's like, stop being sorry for being yourself. Stop being sorry for talking. Stop being sorry for saying what you need. Like, let's stop feeling like we need to apologize for living from our truest, most authentic self, for asking for what we need, for putting our well being at the top of our list. Let's stop apologizing for that. Notice if you have a habit of doing that. Notice if you have a habit of saying you're sorry a lot. Because if you do, it means you're squashing yourself. You are putting yourself below others. You're putting yourself very low on that totem, and you're not allowing yourself to really shine and to really feel like I'm allowed to take up space. I have a client. This is one of my favorite things I think she ever said. I'm allowed to take up space. I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm allowed to express my opinion, right? Like, wow. When you start like putting that mantra in your mind, putting that belief system on in your mind, you start tuning into that frequency. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So as you shift those belief systems and you let go of that, I'm not good enough, and you say, damn it, I am good enough, you're going to start creating that way, and people are going to start treating you that way. And it's really cool when that happens, when you start seeing evidence of it and you start noticing people like really listening to you and um, really acknowledging the information you share and really acknowledging that you have information, that you have expertise, that they value what you have to say. You can't be valued if you don't value yourself. So you got to value your time. You got to value your talents. You got to value your expertise so that the world can reflect that to you. And so you can be in this fulfillment and purpose. The fulfillment and purpose of life feels amazing, and it feels like shit when you're not living it. Okay, when you act with trust of yourself and confidence, others will reflect that to you. So if you don't, they're going to reflect that. So if you're not confident, if you're a little wonky, if you're having some issues with yourself, people are going to they're going to question you. They're going to come up against you. My daughter, who works in the very man's field, and she builds houses, told me recently about a guy who was really challenging her. And it was a project that she was on that she wasn't really confident about because she had never done it before. And I was like, baby, like, you are so smart and so strong and so intelligent. You've got to trust yourself. Trust yourself more. Step into your power. Connect with your resources. I think that happens sometimes. We're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. And it's like you shut down that wisdom channel. You shut down your ability to find solutions and to connect with people that have that more wisdom for you. So trust that the universe is always delivering the answers. It's always delivering the people and the opportunities you need to connect with whatever it is you need in the moment. When you have that trust and confidence and faith in the world, whoo, you can move mountains. Opening lines of communication. So, this is another piece of leadership. If you are in a leadership role, this could be parenting, this could be your job, this could be anything. If you're in a leadership role, if you are acting from a dictatorship energy, and this is where you're barking commands, you're not considering people whatsoever, and you're just trying to get shit done, and you're doing it through angst and through like pushing the energy, trying to push the energy, you are not conducting from leadership. This is where like bullies come into place. Like bullies don't really have confidence. They're just trying to act confident to get people to make them feel confident, right? It's a false sense of confidence. It's not really there. Bullies often are bullied by other people too. So if you are a boss and you're in a leadership position, or even, a teacher or a parent, take this with a grain of salt, okay? When we can talk to people, when we can communicate with people, when we can connect with people in a way that makes them feel loved and cared for, they're going to be more likely to do what we need them to do than if we're barking orders at them. My kids, actually, I had a thing with my little one the other day, and my little one, she's going to be 18. Oh my God. Can't even believe that. But there was a laundry situation again, and she had tons of laundry, and she brought it down, and she often leaves it in the washer and then leaves all her dirty. Now my laundry room's off the side of my kitchen that goes into my garage, so there's not a lot of room. There's like a washer and a dryer and a hall, like there's not a lot of room. So there's laundry piled up, there's some in the washer, there's some in the dryer, and it's like 5 loads put in one load. And so I'm getting frustrated. And then I'm working with the frustration. I wasn't getting frustrated, but I was to the point where I was like, I was actually doing it. I was kind of putting it in the dryer, just dealing with it, not really questioning it. But then she left me a dish full of a sink full of dishes. And I was upstairs and I was working all day, and I came down and I see all these dishes, and I had left the sink clean because that's what I like. And I just yelled up the stairs. I'm like, hey, come do your dishes, like, let's go. That's me yelling at my kid. So she comes downstairs and she's like, I hate when you yell at me. And I think we should let your podcast listeners know how you talk to me. And I was like, and she's like, and you're so annoying. And I thought, you just left me a sink full of dishes and I'm the annoying one. Like, let's check this for a second. So I started checking with myself, like, am I really? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I feel very confident in the way I'm speaking right now, and the fact that I need these dishes done like immediately. And I'm not being a dictator, and I wasn't even raising my voice. And I think the part of it that really got me was I didn't have a lot of emotional trigger behind it like in the past. I wasn't angry. I wasn't frustrated. I just wanted it taken care of. Like, I just asked for what I wanted. And as much as she didn't like the way I asked, we're working on that. We're working on communicating that. It's like, if you don't want me to be, snapping, if you don't want me to be yelling up the stairs for you to come and do your shit, then do your shit. Like, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? Like, if you don't want me to be annoying, don't do things that make me be annoying to you. Like, you're in control of this, right? So yeah, I don't know that we made any progress in that, but I did tell her I would share it on the show because I'm like, I am not embarrassed about anything I do or how I act, because I am human. I am a mother. I am dealing with teenagers, and it is what it is. And I'm doing the best I freaking can. And I'm doing better than I ever have before. So I give myself credit. And can I do it better? Probably. I don't know. I don't know. Probably. There's always room for improvement, right? I'm not like overconfident. Watch your overconfidence, because overconfidence kills you. All right. So to be a good leader, you have to not take things personally. If you are taking stuff personally that people do, you are going to pull yourself out of your leadership position, and you're going to be working from a wounded state. Whenever we are working from a wounded state, we can't actually progress with people, and we can't actually conduct from our wholeness. We're conducting from brokenness when we're conducting from wounds. Heal those wounds, baby. You got to heal those wounds. You got to go within. You got to ask the right questions. You got to deal with your emotional field and release the energies that are coming through. You know you healed when you stop feeling a trigger. When something happens that used to trigger you and you're totally chill about it now, that's how you know you've healed it. You got to have a strong mind training game. Huge. Mind training is huge. And the only way you're going to have a strong mind training game is if you have a meditation practice, because you're going to create that space, the gap, the space between, right? The space between your thoughts and who you truly are. That is the secret. So that when you have a thought, this is what happened with the laundry and the dishes. When you have a thought that could trigger frustration, because in the past, that situation could trigger powerlessness in me. It could trigger a feeling of being pissed off, a feeling of, oh, my kitty just came and scared the crap out of me. A feeling of, these kids don't respect me. Oh, yeah, that one's been there before for sure. But instead, I didn't have those stories because my mind training game is strong. And if I started to feel a little bit of angst, I was able to just ask for what you want. Instead of getting pissed off and yelling about the last 10 things she did that made me mad, just ask for what you need. That's it. Just share, be compassionate. There's so many parents out there that I've talked to that, especially when we have like little kids, that don't ask their kids how they feel. And there's a philosophy out there that says we shouldn't, that we've entitled our kids to too many feelings, that we've, allowed them to kind of rule the roost because, we're worried about their feelings and their mental, emotional field. And I call bullshit on that because I think getting our kids in touch with their feelings is what is going to save them. It's going to save them from using drugs, from, cutting themselves. I've had a couple of kids that are cutters, and Jesus, that one's frightening. And it really is because they don't know how to deal with their emotions, and they're just trying to feel something different. It's just like drugs. They're just trying to feel something different. So if you can get your kids to really connect with their feelings and tell you how they feel and respect how they feel. If we want our kids to respect how we feel, we've got to respect how they feel. And we've got to have these open lines of communication if we're going to have these peaceful families, if we're going to conduct from, everybody living in an environment that they feel safe, that they feel they can be their authentic selves with and work through your stuff. So, being a good leader is staying calm in the face of chaos, staying calm in the face of challenges, looking at challenges as your opportunity. Cool. Can't wait to see what manifests from this. Oh, this is not what I want. So it's going to help me to gain clarity about what I do want. Oftentimes, when we get ourselves like really upset and anxious and we shut down that wisdom channel, we go to worst case scenarios. So, anxiety, nervousness, all of that stuff brings us to a place of low self confidence because we're tuned into a frequency that does not trust. It doesn't believe that everything works out for us. It looks to worst case scenarios. So, if you're tuned into worst case scenarios and that's what you got going on up here, just stop. Just stop, because you don't want to create that shit. So you got to ask yourself, is this what I want to create more of? And if the answer is no, do something different. Go for a run, go for a walk, meditate, nap, do something that shifts the energy field so you can get out of that monkey mind of worst case scenarios, because we don't want to create more of those. All righty. So we talked about leadership, letting go of always trying to be in control. So this is that whole idea about putting yourself in a position where you are acting from dictatorship, when you are feeling like you've got to just like be the commander, be the demander, not give a crap about anybody else. When you get really militant, right? Nobody loves a dictator. When you get really militant and you don't really, you don't have that teamwork environment, the team player environment. And it doesn't mean we have to like take everybody's opinion into consideration. It just means we open up the field to a gentle type of leadership where we are considering the whole, where we are considering, okay, what's the path of least resistance of us all getting this done in a way that feels really good, that puts us in a high frequency of gratitude for the job at hand, for what needs to get done. When you are stepping into that leadership role of your life, you're making a solid decision around creating the life that you want and acting from your intuition. So you're opening up to and tuning yourself into the frequency of trusting your gut, trusting your heart. I say this to my kids all the time. What is your gut saying? What is your heart telling you? If something feels off, it is. It is. That's your gut telling you something ain't right. I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this, deeper. I gotta connect with this at a different level because it will never steer you wrong. That intuition will never steer you wrong. And when you get into a practice of listening to it, you're going to gain more confidence in it. Letting go of trying to be in control and power, right? Because when we're trying to control everything and we're trying to exercise our power and override people, oftentimes we're doing it from a place of resistance and it doesn't really serve other people. We're just trying to make it happen. We're trying to move it into place. We're trying to just, make everybody behave. And when we do that, we cut our relationships like at the knees and we don't allow for all of the wisdom of the universe that's trying to come to us, like other people's, amazing ideas and things like that, when we just think it's only going to be one way and it's going to be up to me and I got to get it done. You also cut off your partnership from the universe. You're not co-creating when you're doing that stuff. If it's to be, it's up to me. You're not co-creating. Okay, so remind yourself to go within for your own answers, be true to yourself, and trusting your instincts. I think I connected on the public speaking. And, public speaking is, I believe, a lot of public speaking is about uh, practice. Practice. Open up a YouTube channel and you don't even have to make it public. I have a cat on my lap. Say hi, Lulu. You want to say hi? This is Lulu. You guys are going to have to go to my YouTube channel if you want to see Lulu. She's the prettiest cat and she's got a really bad attitude, but that's okay. And she's lonely because my girls aren't here. So if you want to become a really good public speaker, you've got to practice. You got to get in some sort of practice, get in some sort of class. And I know it's probably the least thing that you want to do and you're terrified by it. But I'm telling you, if you've got a gift and a talent for speaking, if you've got expertise to share, if you have a desire within you to do something, then you're serving the world by doing it. You're serving yourself. Like when you wake up every day and you just feel the ultimate fulfillment and there's nothing nagging you saying you should be doing this or you should be doing that, and there's none of that. There's none of that commentary that is telling you you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It is the most freeing thing. It is completely freeing because you no longer are in a discrepancy about who you want to be and about who you say you want to be. So that was the biggest thing in working out for me in creating this identity with this super healthy physical physique. That was a huge piece of this, and I see women doing this a lot, is separating themselves from what they truly want. So they tell themselves, I want to be healthy, I want to be strong, I want to be fit, but then they put crap in their body and they don't work out. And it's like, I feel like losing weight and being healthy, strong, and fit is one of the easiest things we can do. And it's one of the easiest things we cannot do because, and it's all based on a decision. We just have to make the decision. I'm going to do what I say I want to be. I'm going to do what I say I want to be. And when you do that, right, where your attention goes, energy flows, then you start to conduct from energy and then momentum starts going. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you're like, wow, I look great. I feel great. There's so much about this physical experience that when we connect and we feel really good about our physical bodies, about our physical appearance, a lot of this confidence stuff really clicks into place because you're no longer separated from who you want to be. You're no longer hiding behind weight. You're no longer hiding behind this facade of, I don't want people to see me. I know a lot of people like that where they, you never see pictures on their Facebook, and if they take, they're always the one behind the camera and they're always trying to hide because they don't want to, in it because they don't like themselves. They don't like the way they look. So why not do something about it? It's really the gateway to everything you want, the gateway to what you've been asking for. And I'm not putting like everything into the physical experience, like saying that your physical appearance is the most important. But shit, it is a lot. It's a lot. If you leave the house feeling good about yourself and you're not trying to hide and you're not feeling less than. And if you can do that, not being physically fit, God bless you. But for me, it's like if I don't feel good in my physical body, there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of ways in which I can beat myself up and feel like I'm not good enough. And stepping into that identity it's gotten rid of all of it. So it's that mental anguish that's the biggest thing. It's that frequency of I'm not doing what I say I want to do that is really freeing. All right. So when it comes to leadership, when it comes to confidence, it's an inside job. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can make you feel more confident. It helps, it helps when people tell you how great you are, for sure. Helps you to want to keep going. In fact, my favorite singer right now, Nicolas Fresard, we went to go see him this weekend. I keep forgetting. I got to put his YouTube channel in my notes. We went to go see him again this weekend. We're like his raving fans. And I brought some friends, and it was so funny because my friends were late, but they showed up for like his last song. And one of my girlfriends was like, he is amazing. And I'm like, oh, whew, that feels so good that she like thinks he's amazing. Cause I'm like, is it just us? Is he as amazing as I think he is? Right. Like questioning my own confidence and my own like trust in someone's gifts. And I will message him. I messaged him after the show and told him how amazing he is and how my friends thought. And he's like, thank you. It keeps me going. And I say that all the time when people show me appreciation. It's like, I don't know why we need that outside validation, but it feels good and it helps build our confidence. But if I didn't have that confidence within, if he didn't have that confidence within, I probably wouldn't have felt inspired to share it. Right? So we're connecting with people's confidence and we're up-leveling their confidence because we feel it from them. And we know that they're living their gifts and we want to acknowledge it. And when we acknowledge other people's gifts, when we really connect with that appreciation and love and sharing that love, man, what a good world it makes. It really does. I've often thought about this where I'll see women and I'll think something about them and then I don't tell them. And I'm like, why don't I do that? I love complimenting people. In fact, last night, all the trick-or-treaters came and we sat with our neighbors. This was the first time we ever sat with our neighbors. 4 years we've lived next to them. And we sat and talked and it was so fun and we got to know each other and we handed out candy in our driveway, which was a blast. And our neighborhood was especially insane because my neighbor, a couple streets down, we live in like a cul-de-sac, but then there's a couple of like side streets. He had this insane display of Pirates of the Caribbean. So he took over 5 or 6 of his neighbors' yards. And his son works for Disney. They're like engineers. And I mean, they had pirates moving and it was really amazing. So our neighborhood has been a shit show for like the last week. We had so many people. So we had Halloweeners come from all over the place, Halloweeners. And every kid I tried to compliment. Like I tried to find something to say, right? Just to boost their confidence, just to make them feel good about themselves, just to connect with that level inside of them, that says you're worthy, man, and you did a good job with your costume. There was this little girl who dressed up like a birthday cake, and you could tell she made it. And I was like, "Did you make that? That's amazing." And her mom was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I've spent lots of money on making costumes." And she's like, "Yeah, for sure." I'm like, "But it's creativity, it's expression, like that's so cool." And so to share how you really feel about people when you have something that you notice about someone and you don't share it, start sharing it. Like that's living in your confidence. That's saying, I am confident within myself to notice what is wonderful about you and to tell you. That's what it is. So maybe that's been my issue in the past. Maybe I haven't felt as confident about myself. I don't know why we keep those things. Like we don't share them. I don't know why that is. Or if it's the other person that's blocking that. I don't know. I'm going to pay attention to that because it's important. It's important that we acknowledge one another. It's important that we tell people that we see them. It's important because it's what's going to help the world to step into more of a creator confidence, into more of feeling good about themselves and getting out of this like low vibrational, mental anguish all the time of not being good enough. You are worthy. Trust me, you are worthy beyond. You are the expression of all that is. You are infinite intelligence. You have that running through every fiber and cell of your being. You are part of the highest level of consciousness. So why not connect with that? When you go into meditation, that's the energies that you're connecting with. And then you pull it, you bring it with you throughout your day. It's not just I meditate for 20 minutes and that's it. It bleeds over your whole life, let me tell you. So you're tuned into the frequency of peace. You're tuned into the frequency of knowing who you are. You're repairing, you're fixing, you're stepping into wholeness, you're releasing brokenness, you're releasing old vibrational belief systems that no longer serve you. You're noticing, you're going, that's not me. That's not who I am. I know who I am. When you conduct from I know who I am, holy crap. Like the world is your oyster. You can create anything because you know that you have the ability to do so. You know that you're a powerful creator, and we all are. We all have the ability to do it. I have not been gifted anything that I don't believe somebody else can do by tuning into the frequency. I had a beautiful lady in one of my groups who got a download the other day, and she was like so excited about getting this download, and I was like, yes, like that's it. Like the downloads are when like we're out of that monkey mind, we're out of that stories, all the stories, and all of a sudden like this boom, this wisdom comes in, and you're like, whew. And a lot of times it's a solution to something that is so impactful in your life. So that can happen more and more and more as you sit, as you allow yourself to quiet, and your confidence will build as you get these messages that make you feel like you're really part of something. You're really part of something that's not just physical. You're really part of this infinite energy that's all around you, this orchestration. Oh my God, my favorite thing is the orchestration of the universe. Like when I see the universe being orchestrated, it gets me so jazzed because it's like it literally is an orchestration. Like everything that's happening, every person we meet, every opportunity we're given, it's all this beautiful orchestration to help us fulfill our desires, to help us live in that fulfillment and purpose. And it's a beautiful thing when you can activate it, believe in it, trust it, have faith in it, and know that you are worthy of it. Absolutely, without a doubt. All right, you can find me at Live Life Goldyn on Instagram. You can follow me there. You can, my website is livelifegolden.com. I do have a mind training teaching on there, and I do have, I don't have my M21 challenge thing up on there, but you can find that on Facebook by going to M21 Revolution. You can ask to join. It is a free group, donation-based challenge. So we're going to have 21 days of some really cool downloads and information we're sharing. And we're going to call you to a practice, to committing to a practice for 21 days. There's something about that. There's something about making a commitment to something that calls you to more, that calls you to no longer making excuses for yourself. And a meditation practice, if you don't have one, it will seriously impact the life that you live in such a positive way, in so many positive ways. I can't even tell you. I have Quantum Speak is available. I've sold so many copies of that this past week. I will sign a copy and send it to you. You just have to inbox me somewhere and you send me your address, and I do Venmo or Zelle. That's kind of the way I've been doing the book right now. It feels good. Or it's available on Amazon if you don't want to wait and you just want to get it. But I do give you a little channeled message. I do write it out and sign it for you. And then I have Quantum Speak for Parents, which is like energetic parenting, how to not become a psycho with your kids. It's probably the tagline I should have put was how to not become a psycho with your kids. How to not flip out over a sink full of dishes and a washing machine full of wet clothes. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I see my progress. I acknowledge it. I thank it. Gain the confidence and trust in myself to be a better and better human being every day. All right. I love you all. Thank you for being with me today. And thank you for those who reached out and asked for a talk about confidence and leadership and public speaking, because I think it's a valuable thing to talk about. And I think there are many of us who would love to step into those leadership roles and share from their expertise. I mean, this is a time in our life where it's so easy to do it. like running a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, those things are so freaking easy and they add so much value to the world that I would encourage you, if you have stuff to say, just freaking do it. Peace. Love you guys.